gangsta, bring that back. Peace be still. They sitting on stills. Tryna block Will. Will of the gangsta, tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, keep that out of my vicinity. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, I don't even care, you pretend to be. Most G's leaving, scheming. Times off meeting, blasphemy. Whether you're wrong, I'll be rolling with your lemons. Storm, like my Kishi storm. OJ on the highway. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, keep that out of my vicinity. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, I don't even care, you pretend to be. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Let's go. Yeah, keep that out of my vicinity. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, I don't even care, you pretend to be. Cause I never take it anywhere. She got nothing to wear. Way over there. Can't even do that. On the bus with Cashmere. Run over lies. Times Square. Eagle. Carrie. Singing in Times Square. It's gonna be a new chill out. With the attitude. Better fit that whoa. Shaolin, they get down. Clouds. Okay.
Like, why nobody came to the funeral to feed my casket?
Having this, we left you like the father of a basket. Shock, looking for static. Jackstick. Baby, you pediatric. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, keep that out of my vicinity. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, I don't even care, you pretend to be. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, keep that out of my vicinity. Tired of your negativity. Yeah, all that energy not phasing me. Yeah, I don't even care, you pretend to be.
Hey, 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 how's everyone doing? Hello, 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 hello. How you doing? How you doing? Hello, 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 hello. Are you tired of negativity? Tired of it. Tired of it. Tired of it. How's everyone doing? Hello, welcome to Bravo with Sheila. We are here, and I am so glad to be here. I hope that you are well. I hope that you are tired of the negativity. I just pray that you are tired of it. I pray that you are tired of the negativity. I hope that you are well. I am here with you tonight. Listen, it's been a minute. It's been a minute. I know. There you go, Ene. Yes, welcome everyone to Bravo with Sheila. Those of you in the bleachers, up in the balcony, up in the cloud, wherever you call it, welcome. I am back. It has been a minute. Dawn B has been holding it down on Thursday nights. She has been holding it. I mean, gripping it, holding it steady, holding the ship steady and holding it down. She's been stirring and mixing it up. And I'm so happy to have her. And she has been doing her thing, Dawn B and Friends on Thursday evenings here right at Bravo. And it's been going well this Thursday. Oh my God, the brothers got the floor. The whole panel of men. It's going to be lit. It's going to be something. So I am happy to be back. I have been traveling. I have been doing some things. There's just a lot going on. You know what I say, life be life. And so I'm trying to keep my groove and do what I need to do to stay in the mix. But I am happy to be back tonight to chat with you for a little while. And I'm going to throw the link up if you guys want to come up and chat. I thank you, thank you, thank you. Once again, I really appreciate your presence. I appreciate you so very much for continuously supporting the Bravo channel and the SIM channel across the YouTube streets. So thank you so much. But tonight I want to talk about something that, I love to be transparent. I love to talk about things that I deal with. And I know I'm not the only one on the universe dealing with certain situations, right? And I wanted to chat about something that affected me. And I don't know if I noticed I experienced it before, but I know that in this last situation that I've gone through, I realized that I actually got caught up into this whole situation. Yes, yes, and yes. And so tonight I want to chat with you about something I'm sure many of you have dealt with, have, had to travel through. Help! I'm an emotional eater. Yes, yes, yes. Listen, that is something that can creep up on you. It can creep up on you. And so let's talk about it a little bit tonight, about being an emotional eater and how it has affected you. I'm going to share a couple of stories about how it has affected me, giving you some tips, giving you some information on what happens when trauma hits or life takes a turn and death comes knocking at your door, and how we find ourselves becoming an emotional eater, right? So tonight I want to talk about grief and overeating, and then I want to talk about it's not just a girl thing. Men are emotional eaters as well. Got some stats for you, and let's just chop it up a little bit and share. All right, let's just open up Bravo. All right, all right, all right. Listen, life is such a journey, and we all have a story to tell, to shout, to scream. Nevertheless, we walk through some things, and sometimes we don't know if we're going to get through them, but by faith, we keep moving. We keep it moving because by now you recognize and understand that when nothing changes, right? And so we've all traveled through some hard times, some good times, and life just keeps lifing. And when things hit you and you don't know, it's a new place you've never been in, it's a new place you've never experienced. You don't know how you're going to respond to it emotionally, mentally, or physically. And until that thing hits you, that's when you're in real time in the situation. And many times we don't know who to talk to. We just go with the flow and find ourselves in places that we don't want to land in. Nevertheless, there's always a possibility of making a U-turn, right? We can always make a U-turn and turn back around to fix some things, to understand some things, and to work on ourselves. And I wanted to share with you a little bit and talk about emotional eating and how it finds its way. And I know I'm not the only one who has dealt with this. This is something that has knocked on so many people's homes, men and women. And one of the hardest things to get through is grief. Grief is really a tough situation to get through. And many times people don't know how to navigate through it. And so they find different things to so-called comfort them. And sometimes it's comfort food. It's called comfort food. And so I just want to share with you just a little while about this. Help! I'm an emotional eater. I want to talk to you a little bit about that. So, there's a German word that is pronounced as Kummerspeck, and it literally translates to grief bacon. Grief bacon. And it refers to the total desire to overeat in response to a difficult emotion. And so some of you have probably found yourself in this space, whether it was through grief or some other situation, but grief is very hard to walk through, to get through. Some of you have never experienced someone passing on you, dying on you, a loved one that was close to you, a husband, a wife, a child, a sister, a brother, right? I myself have walked through grief on many levels back to back. I mean, where I couldn't even breathe before another death hit me. And I couldn't even breathe before another death hit me. So I have been constantly navigating emotionally through death. And it started early on as a young girl when my husband was murdered the same day that my daughter was born. And I was a young wife, and I found myself being a widow at a very, very young age. And I mean, I had no idea how to navigate. I had no way to navigate through grief. And so here I am, a grown woman, and have dealt with grief on many, many levels. And I want to put up Inae's comment, because you know how we do, we interact. And Inae says, oh, it's knocked on my door. She said, I need to turn my ring on so I can see the food coming. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. You know, we respond in different ways. And like I said, that was my first hit at a young age, the same day my daughter was born, right? Had been married 4 months. And so imagine that was a double header, right? You know, a new baby, someone going out of the world, and I'm giving birth to someone coming into the world. So not only did I have to deal with the trauma and the traumatic experience of me having this new baby, but at the same time, in real time, I had to deal with losing my husband by the hand of someone with a gun. And so how do you get through that? How do you navigate? And I'm sure some of you have stories as well that have taken you on a journey you never thought you would find yourself in. And so this thing about emotional eating, when grief is tied to it, let's just talk a little bit. You know how I do. Well, most of you know from my other channel, I'll refer to some notes, and I've done it here as well. And I'll come back, and I'm right here with you. So why overeating happens after bereavement? Stay with me. When you eat, your brain releases a chemical called dopamine, right? Which makes you feel good. It's a feel good thing. This reaction encourages humans to keep on eating. Just go ahead and eat it in order to survive. It tells you that. It sends a signal. The brain also releases more dopamine when you eat food that is high what? And I heard you, fat and sugar. It's shouting at you, talking to you late in the midnight hour. You finding yourself going to that fridge, to that cupboard. You're going to find those cookies, that ice cream, that dopamine, that signal. And in the past, having this chemical reaction was a survival instinct. We're talking about in the past, as it encouraged people to eat plenty of high protein, high energy food when it was available to sustain them. This was used to sustain them through periods of famine and tough winters, right? Okay, so then we move on to emotional eaters are prone, listen to me, to derail. But however, if you live in a developed world, it's a luxury, right? It's a luxury. You probably don't need you don't need to feast on fatty food to survive. Can I get an amen? No, we don't need it to survive, but you still get that happy chemical after eating. That means you are unconsciously turned to food for a what? A quick fix. I know you've heard that before. A quick fix when you're feeling low. I know I had dealt with some women in counseling and some personal friends I know that as soon as they feel emotional, they just start. If something happens to throw them off, they're just eating, and it appears to be making them feel better at that moment, that quick fix. Emotional eaters are prone to derail and detour and divert difficult feelings through food, right? And it's in New York, they have this place called, it's a woman, I'm sorry, her name is Mary Ann Cohen, and she's the director of the New York Center for Eating Disorders, right? And grief is the most difficult of feelings. Grief is one of the worst experiences you can go through. Your brain, my brain, is desperately trying to find ways to make you feel better. And the temporary dopamine, I said temporary dopamine high of eating food is a quick fix for a few brief moments. I'm sure some of you have experienced that. The fact of eating can also provide a welcome what? Distraction for upsetting thoughts. You know, something happens, you automatically get a candy bar, you run to get some chips. You just, it's something up here in this brain that's sending those signals that, you know, it's going to make you feel better. And so in this respect, it's perfectly understanding why you might be reacting for snacks, right? Snacks. Ooh, don't you bring them snacks in your house. I stopped doing it. Or eating more than usual if you've lost a loved one. It's not because you're weak-willed. So don't think if you have this situation going on that it means that you're labeled to be weak. That's not it at all. It's your brain wants me to feel better. Imagine those are the signals. I tell you, we are so uniquely wired. The brain sending signals to you to confirm to you, this is going to make you feel better. Go ahead and eat it. Eat some more and more and more. So the long-term effects of overeating, comfort food and things has long-time side effects sometimes. Unwanted weight gain associated with high risk factors. Feelings of guilt, shame, and low self-esteem. That is a huge one. Feelings of guilt, low self-esteem, and shame. Then you have fatigue. Fatigue hits you. Mood swings. Binge eating. Oh my. Eating large quantities rapidly without what? Hunger. Just eating to eat. You're not even hungry, but you're eating just to eat, right? And I've learned over the years, when I'm eating, I eat to get full. You know, I eat to get satisfied, not full. Because in my mind, if I eat to get full, that means I'm going to be stuffed. That means I'm going to eat everything on my plate. So I eat to be satisfied. I even started eating out of smaller plates opposed to those big dinner plates. I've done that for years now. And guess what? I feel satisfied and full at the same time with that small portion. So it's a psychological signal. Development of unhealthy eating patterns, which may lead to eating what? Disorders. Many of these effects, such as tiredness and low self-esteem, can lead to further comfort eating. It's easy for emotional eating to quickly become what? A vicious cycle. You stop eating, then you start again. You're doing okay. You realize it, you check yourself, but then you find yourself in the wrong aisle in the supermarket. You know you're supposed to bypass that aisle. You know you're supposed to bypass those Hawaiian rolls. That just came to my mind. Those Hawaiian rolls are dangerous. I do like this when I see them, and I just keep on trucking. I just keep on moving. Managing comfort eating through grief. You know, modern diet cultures has created the idea that if you overeat, you are undisciplined or lazy. That's a lie. But after the death of a loved one, it's only natural that you're trying to find comfort by any means necessary, even if it's only temporary. So there's so many things that we have to beware of. Beware of triggers. Emotional eating is usually brought on by what is known as a trigger. You know, we know that word in these YouTube streets, right? We know that word in these YouTube streets, the trigger. This could be an event, thought, or feeling that causes you to distress, leading you to comfort eating. You might be very aware of what these triggers are, or they might be what? Subliminal. You may not know. Your grief, we're talking about grief and overeating. Your grief is likely to be a big factor in what your triggers are, but there may be also some specific things causing you to what? Overeat. This may be stress around managing your loved one's estate and anxiety about the future, conflict with members of your family, or painful memories. You know, I always use myself for an example. The time that happened to me, very young, husband murdered, same day my daughter is born, right? So we already know that's a double hit, right? But then it didn't stop there, because now what? We have to do the funeral. We have to figure out, not to mention I had an emergency C-section. Okay, let's layer that on top of it. Let's just go ahead and layer that on top of it, right? And then afterwards, how am I going to make it? How am I going to survive? How will I be able to pay bills? How will I be able to do this? How will I? So the stress factor is on top of all those dynamic traumas and situations where I found myself. But it was weird with me because I stopped eating opposed to eating. So that's why you have to understand how you're wired and pay attention to yourself. I did not overeat. I wasn't binge eating. I pretty much stopped eating, which said what? A signal of what? I heard you. Depression. Yes, depression sat in and began to speak to me where I felt like I couldn't move. I felt like running. I felt like I couldn't take it. Although it looked like I was okay, right? Because I'm just that type of girl. It'll look like I'm okay, but on the inside, I'm not, right? Because when you're expected to be the one that's always surviving and you are the one, the kid in the family that's expected to be the strong one, then guess what happens? You begin to start performing because the expectation on you by your parents or whoever says you are strong enough to go through this. Hey there, Sir Hale. Bless you. So on top of all of this, you would think that I would start binge eating. So here we have all these factors, right? I'm now a widow at a young age with 2 little children, right? Emergency 6 C-section, husband dead. I mean, listen, come on. This is layer upon layer upon layer. And we're talking about grief and binge eating and overeating. But I was reversed, right? So I didn't binge eat, but keep it locked because I had a situation where I found out that I was emotionally eating, right? But in that situation, I sort of went the opposite direction because of being a widow at the age of 18, because of being a young widow. I started living the life of a 30, 40-year-old woman, physically, mentally, and emotionally, right? So the stress on top of this would cause a person to eat. I know someone who lost a loved one, and all she did, she was very petite. Her body was vavoom, right? But she couldn't handle it in her emotions. And all she did was sit and eat ice cream and just eat cake and just eat. And she blew up. And then she comes out and people are like, oh my God, she's so big. How did she get that big? You know, what is she doing? The first thing people do is just put a word on you, put a title on you, that you did something wrong, that look how she let herself go, not understanding and knowing the emotional trauma that she has gone through. And, you know, sometimes people eat privately. I know someone that used to hide snacks in their drawers, in their dressers, and their husband would go to sleep and they would get up and just eat. Those become eating disorders, right? In the same token, you begin to gain weight and you lose self-respect, right? You feel guilty, you have shame on you. So you go through different things when you say, help, I'm an emotional eater, right? And there's so many people. Yes, Sir Hale. My little brother's in the house. Let me welcome him. Welcome. We got Ine here, and we got Sir Hale in the house. And I'm just happy. Let me put these little things, these comments up for a second. And he's saying precisely. So this is something very important to talk about, because even this spills over to a lot of conversation about how we talk about, you know, traditional women and modern day women. Because even back in the day, traditional women weren't really conscious of how they were gaining weight, because they just felt that they could just let themselves go because they were taking care of the home, and they were the homemaker, the mother, the school teacher. And so they felt as a woman, they didn't have to take care of themselves, but because they didn't have an outlet, they began to binge eat. And, you know, and the next thing you know, you see that they are so big. Now they feel shameful. They don't want to come out. And then it turns into what? Depression. It turns into depression. If anybody wants to come up, let me know. I'll drop the link. So the difference between physical and emotional hunger, although both sensations compel you to eat, physical hunger and emotional hunger are quite different from each other. Learning to tell the difference will help you understand why you're eating. Physical hunger can be felt in your stomach and will come on gradually. In contrast, emotional hunger often appears suddenly, without any sensation or pangs in your stomach. You will often be craving, right, a specific food, usually high on what? You know, I heard you, fat and sugar, because that dopamine is saying, hey, look at that cake in that store. I tell you, walk past those biscuits, walk past those Edamame cakes, and definitely stay away from them Hawaiian rolls. Don't go down that aisle when you're in the supermarket. Don't you do it to yourself. Don't bring it in the house. One technique to tell the difference is to ask yourself the question. Here's the question. Am I really hungry, or do I just want to change how I feel? Oh, stop, pause, and reflect. Am I really hungry, or do I just want to change how I feel? Because I tell you, the dopamine sends a signal that makes you feel happy. It wants you, I'm helping you, go ahead and eat it. That type of signal. Some people even put a Post-it note on their fridge with a question mark, right? Say, help me somebody, to prompt them, to ask them the question, am I really hungry? Or do I just want to change how I feel? Right? Because we're human and we're just full of feelings, right? So I want to say, find some professional help. Find some help if you need help. And I want to now segue to, I told you I wanted to talk about the second part of my broadcast tonight. And let me see if I can pull it up. I don't see it. Where did it go? Let me pull it up. Give me a second. Here we go. I wanted to talk about, it's not just a girl thing, right? And the studies revealed that men struggle with emotional eating as well. They struggle just like we do. Stay with me. Let's get into this a little bit. With Eating Disorder Awareness Week comes a new wave of effort to encourage sufferers to seek the guidance of therapists and nutritionists, right? So yet, while using food to cope with stress or sadness has often, been attributed to women. This has been attributed really to women. No pun intended. It is what it is. This has been attributed to women. But then, it has been ignored in a sense, or not thought of. Just like we say, men don't have emotions. That's lies, right? So men suffer with the same type of situations and things that we do. So listen, collecting data from 521 emotional eaters, researchers at Queendom attempted to uncover the emotional triggers that lead people to binge on comfort food, while both men and women in this sample indicated they have a tendency to eat to cope with their emotions. But let's see the difference between the men and women. Male emotional eaters triggers, right? Number one, the desire to be carefree. The desire to be, I'm going to put that comment up too, Sir Hale. The desire to be carefree. When people are told that they can't have something, it often makes them want it even more. And it seems to be the case for male emotional eaters. They dislike the feeling of restriction, especially when it comes to food. 54% of male emotional eaters don't think it's fair to have to limit the type of foods they eat, and they believe that they should be able to eat whatever they want, even if it's not good for their health. 23% believe that life is too short to worry about their weight or how they look. Number two, self-sabotaging beliefs. Going into a situation with attitude increases a person's chance for disappointment and failure. While male emotional eaters recognize that emotional eating is not healthy, they sabotage their chance of curbing this habit by adopting the following belief system. 93% believe that they simply don't have the discipline needed to control their eating. 81% believe they will never be good enough for anyone. See, now that turns into that emotional, right? Self-reflection. It don't matter. Nobody gonna get me in. No one's gonna say anything to me anyway. So the 81% believe that they will never be good enough for anyone. So it's pointless to look after their body by making smarter food choices. And then 37% believe that they are too old to change their lifestyle. All right. I got to go to some of these comments. Let me put them up. Let me just put this up. Let's go to Sir Harold's first one. And he says, as much as I work, I stay at the gym because in the past, the stress leads to exhaustion. Exhaustion leads to depression. Depression leads to overeating. Yes, indeed. And it does happen to men too. Hallelujah. Then he says, would you recommend setting a certain time to working out each day? Yes. See, that is something good. And as you say that, I know that, and it's a sidebar right now. I know that that's something I've been committing to myself to get back to, because again, I got off track. I was doing well. I lost like 25 pounds. I went on keto. I was eating good. I never ate really bad. I haven't had meat or pork or anything in over 35, 40 years. So I was really just a fish eater. But I started like dipping a little bit. And the weight started coming back. And then here, I'll insert this before I get into the female emotional eaters, because this is good for me to segue here to go into this. So when I really found out, and what prompted me to do this broadcast was that when I gained the weight back, I was very upset with myself. I really was looking really great. My daughters, everyone was so proud of me. Now I have not gained back all the weight that I've lost, but it was trying to creep up, right? And I noticed it. And then I said, well, I'm not really eating anything different. And my daughters was like, well, something's going on with you. And I couldn't put a finger on it. And then I said, I got it. I just sat quiet with the Lord, and then I got the answer. When I lost my Maxie girl, my little dog, and I know some people say, dog is, no. Keep your comments to yourself. When I lost my Maxie girl, I had her from 6 months to 14, and it was about her and I. And I don't care what no one says. Dogs love you better than people. This just an unconditional love. It was such a comfort. She was just a comfort to me. She was my company. She just loved on me. She was just there for me, And when you live alone and you have like a dog for so long, it becomes your friend, your buddy, whatever. And she was a teacup, and she lived a long time. But when she passed, it hit me so hard. And I opened up this live telling you that I have dealt with death, not just when my husband was murdered, back to back to back. I'm telling you, like I couldn't even breathe before to get myself together. Buried him. Few months later, another death. Breathe, Sheila. The next thing, breathe, Sheila. So death has been knocking on my door and my back for a long time. So I've dealt with death, and the age that I am now, I know how to kind of navigate through it. I found my footing, not that it doesn't affect me, but here we go, fast forward, and my dog dies. My dog is sick. My dog has to leave me. Let me tell you, I don't know if you have dogs, Sir Hale. I know you have dogs, and I know your children, you guys have your dogs. You love your dogs. And some of you that's up in the bleachers, in the balcony, in the cloud up there, some of you may be pet owners. When I tell you that thing hit me, and it still has not been a year yet, but what happened to me, I was trying to figure out, why was I gaining the weight back? And I found out I was emotionally eating. I was emotionally eating things that I had put down or never even wanted before, right? And I said, there's the culprit right there. And so everyone said to me, well, Sheila, that a lot of people go through that, emotionally eating when someone dies. And so that's what prompted me to do this live, because it took me a while, and I'm still not 100% out of the clear from feeling the loss of her, right? But I've adjusted to it, and I've settled within, I have resolved within me. I miss her in my space. But then I realized, well, if you're going through this, how many other people are going through so many other triggers that trigger them to eat and don't know how to stop eating, right? We talk about women so much on this channel and the streets as well as men, but sometimes women, you see them blowing up and you say, oh, she don't care. She let herself go. Look how big she is. Why she, but you don't know what triggered that or what happened. And maybe people just don't know how to stop, or they don't really know that it's the emotional eating that is giving them weight and depression. Hallelujah. So listen, female emotional eaters, and that's why I just wanted to insert what caused me to do this live, because I'm about uplifting and building and caring about you. I don't care how pretty you are. It's nice that you're pretty, but I'm really worried about your internal being, right? I mean, the beauty's only skin deep, right? So I want to know that you're okay. I want to know that I don't want you to feel shameful or embarrassed, because you can turn it back around, but you just have to put a finger on why you're doing what you're doing. And it could be a series. You could just had broke up with your boyfriend. You could just had a divorce. All of these things trigger people to do things that they normally wouldn't do. So female emotional eaters, their triggers, number one, and this is the difference between the versus the men. Emotional eaters triggers, and it's an external locus of control, an external locus of control. People with an external locus of control believe that they don't have the ability to change their life. They feel like a victim of fate, right? Society and their circumstances. Their life is determined, listen, by factors outside their control. Female emotional eaters are more likely to have an external locus of control as it relates to their health. Here we go. 19% don't believe that they can live longer by changing their lifestyle. Now you know. 29% believe that it's their genes that ultimately determine how healthy they will be. Well, there are cases like that, but we can't use that for an excuse. Females, feelings of shame. Female emotional eaters are more likely to have difficulty letting go of guilt. Their belief that they should be ashamed of themselves or whatever reason acts as an emotional eating trigger. Listen to these stats. 73% still feel guilty about something they did in their past. Now, see, stop, pause, reflect right there. That's huge. That is huge right there. And so by them being stuck in that guilt about their past, it excuses them. The guilt kind of signals to excuse them to binge eat because they have a reason, right? Because something happened to cause me. Okay, it did. But then if you don't catch that and you can't use it as an excuse to be overweight or obese or not wanting or willing to get yourself back in check. 87% feel guilty. They feel guilty about overeating. But these feelings of guilt and shame lead to more emotional eating, creating a vicious cycle. My God, a vicious cycle. 91% tend to take failure very hard. That's true. That's true. And 92% are ashamed of their body. That's a huge one. But we'll be here forever if we start talking about that. You and I will be here forever if I open that up. So all of these points that I'm saying qualify for a more internal discussion. But tonight I'm just hitting it to bring awareness and to let you know that do something different. And as I was alluding to a few minutes ago, I know that I fell off my game. And I know that usually on Wednesday at noon, I'm at on my Christian channel, SIM broadcast at the Kabod. Every Wednesday, we've been rocking over there at 12 noon doing teachings and lessons on the Christian channel. So I had started and joined the gym around 9 months, 10 months ago, did the tour, looked at the pool, was all piped up, all ready. Asked me, have I went in there one time? I heard you. The answer is no. No, I have not. That's not good. And so I kept saying, you're in a rut. You're in a rut, Sheila. You don't think you're in a rut, but you're in a rut. You need to get up and go. Every day, my daughter from Cali called me. Did you walk today? Did you go out and walk? Don't look like you went out and walked. So tomorrow happens to be my first class at the gym, and it's going to conflict with my time on YouTube on my Christian channel. So I was like, okay, Lord, say, okay, so what you going to choose? What you going to choose, Sheila? Are you going to change your time for your show, or you just not going to go to the gym? So I said, I have to make a decision. So guess what I'm going to do? I heard you. What do you think I'm gonna do? And Nate, what do you think I'm gonna do? Mm-hmm. I heard you. I'm going to the gym. I have to start. I have to stop procrastinating. I have to go. And so what I'll do is move my time, my schedule for my broadcast. Yes, absolutely. And I'm starting tomorrow. I'm starting tomorrow. And then Thursday, next week, Tuesday, I start aerobics in the water because I love going in the water and swimming. I used to do this 2-3 times a week. So I have to do what I have to do to get me right. And I'm getting older and I have to really, really get myself when my bones don't want to give out on me, because you guys know I'm an active little thing. I ain't sitting down. I'm not ready. So anyway, 92% are ashamed of their body. And what people fail to realize is that emotional eating triggers are not always the result of negative feelings or experiences. Here's something good. Essentially, emotional eaters don't turn to comfort food only when they're sad, anxious, or feeling guilty, right? Boredom. If you're bored, boredom can also be an emotional eating trigger, as well as happiness. After all, how often have you celebrated a milestone or a promotion by going out for a lavish dinner? The act of eating food one loves, right, extends the feeling of joy, So you can become a binge eater and you can have something as like you have a joyous occasion, a celebration. So it's not always a negative, right? Boredom can do it. Having a milestone celebration. The bottom line is still the same. Here's the same. The bottom line is still the same. When you consume food for reasons other than hunger, here's the key. You are engaging in emotional eating. I told you, I started eating out of a smaller plate. I started doing that, and guess what? I was satisfied. I started saying, you have to be satisfied when you eat, not full. Oh, I'm not full. Well, are you satisfied? Eat until you're satisfied. And that comes, that also reminds me, like when you're young and your mother and your father and you're sitting at the dinner table, eat all that food. Eat all those vegetables. You be, Mommy, I'm full. I don't care. Eat all that food. Clean that plate. So by us learning that behavior in our mind, we got to clean the plate every time. Every time, because that's how we were raised. You can't get up from the table unless your food is finished. And that could be a detriment to us, because as we become adults, that's psychological. No, I got to finish all my food. I got to finish it all. No, you don't. Eat until you're satisfied. So the bottom line is still the same. When you consume food for reasons other than hunger, you are engaging in emotional eating, and this goes for both genders. It would be incorrect to assume that only women fall victim to emotional eating. This means that both men and women can fall victim to eating disorders. So learn to identify. Are you hungry before you start eating? One critical component to ending the cycle of emotional eating is relearning to recognize your body's signals for hunger. Another thing is rate your hunger on a scale from 1 to 10. 1 being not hungry at all, 10 being absolutely famished. Eat when your hunger level reaches about a 7 or 8. Waiting until you're starving, your stomach will start growling, and guess what's going to happen? You're going to eat more than you should. Feelings of guilt are more likely to be triggered when you overeat. To avoid this, guess what? Eat slower. Eat slowly. Take smaller bites, right? Put the fork down for a moment in between. Rest it. Pick it up. You'll be so surprised. You'll be so surprised how that worked. I tell you, I started, and I said, okay, that smaller plate. I'm telling you, I'm like, oh boy, it felt like I ate like a whole plate, because psychologically I had the food, the portions on my plate, and it was like a saucer type plate. I don't have that big plate. I don't eat out of that anymore, right? And then I'm really satisfied. And you drink some water, right? Because water is good to be filling. Don't let time dictates your eating habits. Just because lunch is at work, it's scheduled at noon, that doesn't mean you have to eat. Follow your body's signals, not the clock. Eliminate grazing and mindless eating. When you are eating, take the time to enjoy it, right? Take the time. I've seen so many people, I know a few people that when they eat and they don't even chew. They just put it in their mouth and they go, I mean, did you even chew? Yeah, I chewed. I chewed on the way down. How do you chew on the way down? I see people just put the food in their mouth and they go, and it's gone. No, you didn't see no work right here, nothing. And then I chew on the way down. How in the world do you chew on the way down? Stock up on healthy food. According to a study by London researchers, the only difference between emotional eaters and non-emotional eaters isn't the quantity of food they eat, it's the quality. Emotional eaters are more likely to reach for comfort food, that's true, such as fast food, calorie heavy snacks and sweets. Leave that stuff alone. There's so many other good things. Grab a piece of fruit or something. Help yourself. If you feel a hunger urge coming on, reach for a healthy alternative snack instead. You'll cut the calories, and guess what? You'll be healthier. Be kind to yourself if you trip up. Don't bug out. Don't beat yourself down. It takes time to recover from a habit of emotional eating. And if you do overeat on the weekend, guess what? Don't beat yourself up, right? Because we've all been guilty of that. It was just Memorial Day weekend, right? Okay, so people probably had cookouts and cakes and all types of things going on. Give yourself a break, but you got to just stay conscious of what you're doing. Sometimes people fall off the wagon, lose hope, and give up totally. They give up totally. Instead, just pick yourself up and vow to overeat less and frequently. And just listen to me. Don't be afraid to get professional help. If you find yourself binging to the point where you're becoming obese, you're overweight, you're breathing hard, you can't walk up steps, you used to be able to jog, you can't jog, you can't get up off the couch, you got the remote and the snacks is everywhere, you have a problem. You have a problem and you need help, especially if you have the tendency to gain weight quickly. Some people have those small frames. I have a girlfriend that can eat, and don't gain a pound, right? But when she gets old, I told her she better watch out. So what I want to say to you is get to the gym. Call somebody for some help. You can call me. We can counsel. Let's talk about this. Sir Hell is a gym rat, right? He can talk to you. Sir Hell is in these YouTube streets. He's here right here in the chat. Those of you that will come to this broadcast later and you need help, I'm telling you, just like I do on my Christian program every Wednesday, some Sunday mornings, and when I come on, I just pop up. I did a pop-up 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning the other day. Every time I'm in these YouTube streets, even on the SIM channel, I always leave referring you guys to other folks in the YouTube streets that I recommend. Every time I'm on my Christian channel, at the end of every broadcast, I lead people to One Generation Church at 9 a.m. Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern Time, every Sunday with Pastor Ernest Hale. I send people to Bolo TV with Brother Anthony and Sister Lyric and the incredible village that's in the chat, so that when they accept God, they can surely be fed. They can be watered. Every single time I'm on the air, I push people to those channels so that they can have help to walk and to grow, such as I'm saying now. In this particular channel, I'm on the other side of the YouTube street, on my Bravo side, right? And I'm sharing with you because I'm about helping you grow, helping you be a better you, right? You can always grow. You can always be a better you. It's not over until it's over, and it's not how you start, it's how you finish. You hear me? It's not how you start, it's how you finish. But you got to understand that when nothing changes, nothing changes. And you got to bust a move. You got to make a move. I don't care if you crawl, pick up the phone. If you're going through grief eating, overeating, like I told you, I dealt with the grief, right? I told you how I didn't eat. I went opposite because I was depressed. But then eventually I ran into what? Eating emotionally and didn't even know. After I had lost 25, 30 pounds, and I caught myself trying to get back up. I've never been quite obese, but you know when you're chunky, you know when you're in your fat stage and your healthy stage. Maybe I shouldn't use the fat word. I'll say the healthy stage, right? And so you have to look at yourself, self-reflect, stop, pause, and reflect with yourself. You don't need anybody else to tell you what you need because you know you, and you look in the mirror every day. I'm starting tomorrow. I promised myself, I said, self, I'm sorry that I stopped going to the gym. Self, I'm so sorry that I stopped swimming. I am so sorry. And look who's popping up here. She's up here. Oh, Dawn B is in the house. I said, self, I am so very sorry. I'm so sorry that I have been rude to you. So tomorrow I am going to the gym. It'll be my first time since I signed up around 10 months ago that I'm going to set my little feet in that gym and get into the groove. Because you got to understand, once you start and get back into the groove, you're in it. You're good. You just got to break it. You got to break that stronghold that's on you. Hey, Dawn B is in the house. Let's see. We got some comments up here. Hello, the intellectuals. It's so good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Good to see you. Wow. Let's see.
I missed y'all.
And Nay is saying, yeah, oh yes, about me. I always send people to Sir Hale, to the church, and to Bolo when I'm on the other side, on the Christian side of YouTube with myself. Yes, I do. Let's see what the intellectual soapbox is saying. She makes me not want to cook these. You know, he got jokes. Wherever he go, he has jokes. And he said, nah, let's see what we have here. Been there. Been eating organic and gluten-free for about, yes, I've been on this good eating thing for around, I want to say a long time, around, it's been a minute. I can say I've been meat-free for a lot of years, I think pork has been 48 years, beef has been around 38 years, and chicken has been around 15. I don't know. I stopped all that and I felt better because it was better for me. You got to do what's better for you. And then I became a person and I'm trying to come off of the fish because from what I understand, they got a lot of crap in the water and even the fish is getting contaminated. I'm like, I'm just going to go to veggies. Forget about it. Just straight veggies. How you doing, Dawn B?
Oh, I am good. I'm all over the place, but I'm
I
good.
see. You just got out of school, huh?
Out of school, had to pick up my son, wait for him to get off work, and I was like, let me pop on and stir it up, just
Amen. It's good to see you. I knew you were in school. I knew you was in school.
yeah.
Yeah, and they saying the fish is kind of not, I don't know what they doing to us because I'm a fish eater and I love salmon. And they saying, please don't say that. Please don't say they tampering with the fish. Yep. But listen, we were talking about emotional eating. And I was giving my story, about years ago, when my husband was murdered. And then I had like murders on top of murders on top of murders. And then a C-section and all the layers of things that would trigger me to eat. And instead I didn't eat. I kind of stopped eating, which means I went into depression. Right. And then we segued into when my Maxie girl, which you know about, passed away, my little dog. And all the lives, different things in between that cause you to emotionally pick up food. And we've talked about the dopamine in your brain that tells you, go eat that chunky, go eat that Mr. Good bar. That's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you feel better. So the whole talk today, Dawn B, was like, are you eating because you're hungry or are you eating because you want to feel better? Because we eat because we want to feel better. What do you think?
Well, that's a really good question. You're eating because you're hungry or you're eating because you want to feel better. But either way, it is an appetite on either side. You're trying to satisfy an appetite. And it's just the question of how am I going to satisfy this appetite? What am I going to use? And we weaponize food. I mean, I've been there, I'm grateful I'm not there anymore, but I've been there, and it is not an easy thing. It takes a lot of self-assessment. It takes for you to be honest with yourself and for you actually, you're doing more harm to yourself than you are good. That instant gratification in that moment leads to a long-term issue,
Absolutely.
and then you have to peel back the layers, and sometimes it's harder peeling back those layers than it is in that one moment, where you're satisfying, or you think you're satisfying something in that moment, but it's not really. You're pacifying it. We're using food as a band-aid, instead of dealing with the real issue. So, and you do have to think, am I really hungry? And sometimes, the flesh wants what it wants, you know, but you got to discipline yourself. So that's key. You're muted, Auntie.
At the top of the show, we were talking about how the dopamine sends the signal. The brain actually sends the signal that, you need to eat, because the brain wants you to feel better,
Mm-hmm.
and by
Mm-hmm.
doing that, we fall into that. And I just know that I wanted to talk about this because I found myself, and remember I mentioned to you that when I had lost the weight and I gained the weight when I lost my pet, like, it's so many different ways and triggers that cause you to start eating emotionally. But I caught myself, I make sure I don't
Mm-hmm.
bring anything in here that's going to tempt me. I make
That's
sure,
key.
like I was early on, I said I walk past in the supermarket, and when I see those Hawaiian rolls, I do like this.
Oh,
When I see, and they have them right in the middle of the plate in the
right.
supermarket for Hawaiian, they got
You
the
said it's
rolls,
not
they
my
got the mini
friend. It's not
ones.
your friend.
They're dangerous. They're super dangerous. So certain aisles I don't go down, right? Because I know I don't
Right.
need to pick up anything. But then I have found healthy snacks, and when you find healthy snacks, you still get that satisfaction.
Right. Right. And it's true.
Yeah.
I mean, I
So
think
go
you have
ahead.
to be aware of, I think you have to really be aware. I mean, on my journey, I had to really come in touch with myself and really understand what my body is really asking for, and whether it's just the mental, whether it really is the physical, or a combination of the two. you know
Self-assessment.
yes, and taking that minute to pause and not be reactive, just an immediate reaction to whatever it is my body's calling for. And I found that it was more of a mental struggle than it really was the physical side. you
Yeah,
know um, and it is really
absolutely.
taking being honest with yourself, really being completely honest. That's the hardest person to be honest with, I found, is yourself.
I'm telling
you
you,
know
Sir Hale put something. I missed this comment. I don't know if I put this up. He says, and a 30-minute home workout before you start your day and a 30-minute walk before bed. That, along with a good diet, works wonders. That's so true. I am so
Mhm.
disciplined when I'm in California. We walk twice a day. And you know what? I sleep better. Because I have problems sleeping. And when I get out and walk in the evening, walk in the morning, and then take that walk at night, I sleep so much better, you
Yeah.
know? Then I come back to New York and just fall off the wagon.
It's the change of environment. This New York make you do that. It just, something about New York just calls you. But Cali is different for you. That's your place of peace. And that's another good thing. That's actually another good point. Because being in Cali, it's like it fills you up in every other way, and it satisfies whatever that emotional
It's
need
different
is.
for me.
Mhm.
Soon
Mhm.
as I get off the plane, I feel different. It's like, okay, I'm home.
Mhm.
I tell
That's how
you,
I feel living upstate now. When I was down in the Bronx, and now that I'm up in these mountains,
you up in the
it's
mountains, girl.
yeah, it's way different. So when I come down to the Bronx, I automatically now start to feel, the tension, and just the
Absolutely.
changes of environment are really important. That's another thing that tempers with your emotions, that
Absolutely. So we
pushes you
had a
there.
wonderful talk tonight. This was wonderful. I know you're in your car and you're on your way home to mom, and I'm glad you popped on with your partner. So good to
Me
have
too,
you
of
up here.
course.
I opened up the
Of
show
course.
talking about your lit show you're gonna have tomorrow, Thursday night,
Oh,
a
yes,
all
yes.
male panel. Listen, a all
It's going
male
down.
panel. And the
It is
name of
going
the
down.
broadcast on Thursday night is
The men's lounge.
the men's lounge. And you got a
We
panel of men, and I can't wait to sit back behind the scenes and listen to this conversation. Oh my goodness, it's going to be so wonderful. And so, those of you who are on now and up in the bleachers, the balcony, or the cloud, whatever you want to say, why don't you tune in with Bravo with Sheila? But on Thursdays, we yield to Dawn B and friends, Dawn B and crew. I stay behind the scenes. She gets the platform and she mixes it and stirs it up. She do her thing. And everyone has been having such an awesome time on the last 4 Thursdays. You've been doing such an awesome job. I'm so proud of you. Yes, yes. Keep it coming. Your topics are incredible. People are receiving them. The first night, they was like, well, are they coming back next week? I said, they sure are. Yes, she will be back. And it's been ongoing. It's on and on and on. And so Thursday, I look forward to it. And I'm sure all the people out here in the Bravo streets will tune in, because you're going to have an all-male panel. And I'm sure you have some really, really good questions in your topic. Oh, my.
We are going to chop it up. We are yielding the mic to the men. And, June is Father's Day is in June. So
Yes.
Men feel unheard, they feel unvalued, they feel unseen, and they feel abused.
Yes.
And women, we have to take a minute to just be quiet. So ladies, get your notebook, get your good snack, your healthy snack, and lean in. Take some notes. We're going to let the men talk about it. We're going to let the men say what they feel. We're going to hear them out. Yes, we're going to give them space. And we're going to learn a little bit. We're going to learn. We're going to try to dispel some of the myths. So I have 4 great men who have been in my life for almost all of my life. My big brother and 3 of my other friends. And they just going to come in. They're going to keep it real and transparent. Real talk. Real resolutions.
It's going to be awesome. Real talk and resolution. That's the word, resolution, right? Because on the Bravo side, we like to do talk, but we like resolutions. Right.
We can't talk and find the answer.
Yeah, we got to give some tips on how to do what you need to do to get where you're trying to go, because when nothing changes, nothing changes. And you have to keep it moving, right?
Yes,
we have to keep it moving, dealing with that root system. I've been talking about that. Oh, I've been on fire with the root system. You've been checking me out with my clips.
I have, and I can't wait. Every time I see one, I'm like, I got to play it again. I think it's going to be heavy.
Palm tree, girl. So I'm going to bring that whenever we can get here, whenever you get out of school. I want to do that with the crew, talk about that.
I think that's another week
heavy subject. Snap back like the palm tree. Mm-hmm.
Yes, ma'am.
We have to have that conversation. So we're going to close the show. Stay right there if you can. Listen, guys, it has been awesome tonight. Lady Navoa, hello. Good to see you. Thank you, everyone who stopped by tonight. Those of you that I don't know by name that are listening, I appreciate you. I appreciate your presence. And stay tuned for more Bravo with Sheila. And, we just make it our purpose to move you from pain to power and from power to victory. We stir it up here to leave you with resolutions and to help you grow, right? To help you move to that place called there, because we're all headed somewhere. And so we just want to give you a little shove, a little push, and a little love. I'm so concerned about your internal being, not the beauty of you. I love that you're beautiful. I love that you're handsome, but I want to know what's ticking on the inside. How can we fix the inside? And that's what's going to give you the power to move and get to the place where you need to be. What you got to say, Dawn B?
I'm in total agreement. We are here to just be that support, that backup, to help you not to go backwards, but help you stand still until you can move forward if you have to, and then push you further.
Absolutely. So you guys, it's been awesome. It's been awesome. I got one comment. Let me see that I missed. And Nay, I love you. I love all of you. Lady Navoa, Sir Hale, little brother, love you. Oh my goodness. Intellectual Soapbox. Thank you for stopping by. And you guys are great. You are awesome. We will see you soon. We'll see you on Thursday. I hope you guys stop by and check out Dawn B and the crew / friends. Let's do a soft closing tonight, Dawn B. Stay right there. Mwah. Smooches. Ciao. I love you guys.